Okay, Mangalam, thanks a lot for that. Well, yes, tire stocks pull out MRF, phenomenal, approaching 43,000 on that stock. The all-time high has been 43,560, now at 42,750. So 18,000 crore market cap is what we have on MRF at this point in time. Mayuresh Joshi and SP Tulsian also join us. Good afternoon to both of you. Ms. Tulsian, MRF, phenomenal move. What have you made of this, and would you back it for some more?
Anuj, all the tire stocks are seeing a good run up, because if you really see the relative performance of JK Tyre, I think that is the best in this last 3 or 4 months. It has almost doubled. But yes, MRF also, because of its presence in F&O and the kind of upsurge which we see to the extent of 1,000 rupees at around 1,000 rupees in a single day, sometimes draw the attention of the traders. But if you really see the kind of volatility which we see in the share price, they swiftly get corrected also by 3,500. So I don't think that the stock is worth now at the current level either for the traders or for the investors.
Okay, well, the stock is not worth for traders or for investors right now. Well, that's the word coming in. I also wanted to get Mayuresh Joshi into our conversation and ask him about a couple of stocks as well. Mayuresh, hi, good afternoon. I wanted to check with you on Aurobindo Pharma, because there has been a successful completion of the US FDA audit in one of its key plants, which is Unit 4. And Aurobindo Pharma has been surging today, so up almost about 2–2.5%. Is this a stock that you like? And would you expect further upside on the back of this news flow?
Afternoon, Sonia. Oh yes, I think this has been one of my favorites, would continue to remain positive on that stock, primarily based on what the core business attributes the company is achieving. So largely, if you look at the kind of ANDA applications, 403 filed, 180 probably in the pipeline to get approved. Secondly, if you look at the recent acquisitions that done a couple of years back of Actavis and Natrol, both of them are significantly contributing to the overall top line, which has enabled Aurobindo to become an 80% formulation-driven company. Thirdly, if you look at the kind of business prospects in terms of the key injectable business, the company does expect 12 to 15 launches to take place, and that is a high margin business for Aurobindo Pharma, along with the ARV business. So almost $70 billion worth drugs going off patent in the next few years. That augurs a healthy pipeline sign for Aurobindo. And fourth, our own estimates suggest that the top line growth can be anywhere between 15 to 18% over the next couple of years, and that probably will lead to EBITDA margin staying between 23.5 to 24%. Any incremental news on unit getting cleared, Unit 7 specifically, I think that will have a huge amount of impact as far as the new product launches go for Aurobindo. So both from a valuation perspective as far as an earnings perspective, my own sense is that the stock will do well on a compounded basis. So remain optimistic and positive on the stock.
Okay, Mitesh, you trade some of these tire stocks. You've spoken about MRF in the past. What have you made of this huge move, both in MRF and CEAT?
I think I've been, more closely trading and tracking MRF. I think, despite the fact that I've been bullish for the last few days, this fresh movement, I think, suggests that this will be a very strong up move. I think I would now look at a target of close to about 45,000, which is where the stock peaked out sometime in August 2015. That high should be retested, revisited, and possibly once we start getting past that, and that is certainly a very strong possibility here, I think I would look at a 50 to 2,000 kind of a price target on this stock. So I would still be a buyer over here if I'm holding this one, continue to hold this one. If there are dips in this one, I think I would add on to my long positions.
Okay, well, rubber prices have been falling quite a bit. So as we reported to you, currently rubber prices stand at 119 rupees a kilo, which is the lowest that we've seen in a very long time. Just to give you some references, at the start of September, the rubber price was around 130 rupees a kilo. It was falling gradually, and now it's trading at around 115 to 117 rupees a kilo. And, I know that the demand is still very low. So, on the top line, these guys are not generating much in terms of revenue, so the only trigger for them could be on the margin front, and falling rubber prices is a
yeah, I think it's a bit of a deja vu, right, Sonia? I mean, I remember last year in the second half that this was the only trigger that we were discussing, and somehow the top line never picked up for these companies. And then when we saw 1 quarter of rubber prices going up, we saw that steep decline, because at the end of the day, this is either a tailwind or a headwind. But if the underlying business is not improving at the headline level, but yes, a couple of companies have done well, like JK Avanti Tyre and like a couple of others, but this really has been a phenomenal move on tyre stocks.
Oh yes, no taking away from that. I mean, we try to put some reason or the other for the move, but it's quite an irrational move that you're seeing on these tyre stocks, because if you just put it into perspective, even at the start of the year in Jan, the rubber prices were 100 rupees a kilo, and now in September also rubber prices are around 100 rupees a kilo. So give and take everything, the prices have not varied
But you know what, like if you look at 12-month performance for a CEAT, it's actually down. It's down 11%. If you look at MRF 12 months, it's actually flat. So sometimes these moves they have become so binary in nature. Like for MRF, if you see 12 months, it's 3%, and I think CEAT is actually down 11% over a 12-month period. So it depends on your reference point. It depends on your entry point. Looking at some of these stocks, purely traders stocks. Don't think these have been MRF, of course, has been a long-term portfolio stock, but at least for the last 1 or 2 years they've just been trading plays. Oh yes, traders delight as we call it. But let's do one thing. Let's take a break. Our closing bell money control question of the day is: will you subscribe to the ICICI Pru Life IPO? Log on to moneycontrol.com, post your responses there, and we'll read out some of the most interesting ones post 3:30 p.m. today. Okay, coming up on the other side of the break, interesting. Big bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's net worth now stands at a whopping 10,000 crores, and mind you, this is only with the listed stocks. We'll get you a sneak peek into his top bets on the other side.
MBL Infra, they had a pledge issue. Some financial institution with pledge, they sold off the shares in the market. So from 120, MBL went down to some 62 rupees in few days, and today it is 111 back to square one in another few days. See, these are big companies, and J. Kumar is a very, very strong balance sheet company and with huge execution capabilities. And now their order book is going up in a big way. They have got the big order from the Mumbai Metro. So I'm basically very bullish on the sector.
Hi guys, welcome back to the show. It's a good day of trade. You'd have to say that, because the cash market volumes are picking up and the Nifty has picked up to the highest point, up about 0.5%. There's so much action in the broader markets today as well. Munjal Auto is one stock that's surging, up about 14%. It's been up through the day. Raymond is up almost about 10.5%, and a lot of sugar stocks are bouncing around as well. But one stock I wanted to discuss with our guest is Motherson Sumi. We just heard from the management a while back. They've successfully completed their QIP, raising 2,000 crores. The management told us first on CNBC TV18 what they plan to do with these funds. Listen in.
We've already acquired one particular company, small company, but it's a critical cog in the system. We also are looking at some more acquisitions. We have two parts of our acquisition, not just the top line, but also the bottom line. Yes, definitely we'll be looking at a lot of interesting acquisitions. The organic growth will be anywhere between 50 to 55%. At this moment, the board does not have any paper which tells them that the simplification is possible. But as I said, whenever we get such an opportunity, we will definitely take that, because we ourselves want to simplify it a bit.
Mr. Tulsian, I wanted you to come in on this, because although the management did not tell us about any timeline for restructuring, they did indicate that they're looking to simplify the structure. So eventually there will be that restructuring, of the holding company, etc. At this price of 320, this is a stock that you've liked, but at this price of 320, what kind of value do you think it can offer?
See, Sonia, I have been maintaining this view also, that the restructuring has to come, and this is just a matter of time. But that's looking to the complexity. Obviously, so many things are involved therein. Maybe like cost, maybe like tax angle, maybe the complexity of the the holding company and all sort of things. So the things will definitely be seen, and I won't be surprised to see that happening maybe in this calendar year itself. And that will be seen as a big value unlocking. Similarly, on the lines of the projections having given by the company for 2020 also of 18 billion, which they are also sticking. So inorganic growth, restructuring move, good working of the existing plants and all sort of things are going all in favor of the company, and all these events are lined up maybe in the next 6 to 8 months, maybe including, as I said, restructuring. I won't be surprised to see it happening in 2016, though they have gone for a very small acquisition, which is a very tiny one. But the bigger things, because they have mobilized the funds by making preferential allotment to Sumitomo and now the QIP, they have a closure to about 5,000 crore in their kitty. So that can also get utilized for the bigger acquisition, which I am expecting that to get announced maybe in the 6 months or so. So all these events are lined up for the in favor or seen as positive for the stock. So I will be keeping my positive view on the stock even from the next 6 months point of view as well.
Okay, so that's Motherson Sumi positive on that stock even over the next 6 months. But let's do one thing. Let's talk about some very interesting data now. Big bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's net worth now stands at a whopping 10,000 crores. Yes, that's right, 10,000 crores. And remember, this is only for listed stocks. One wonders what the net worth of his investments are in unlisted entities. Anyway, since we have the data with us for listed stocks, let's discuss that. Anuj has had a sneak peek into his top bets and what are the stocks that got him to this figure. Anuj, the street is always interested in what the big bull is buying, so take it away.
I mean, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's portfolio, of course, is
in listed stocks. One wonders where the other investments are and what the net worth could be over there. But let's do one thing. Let's take a short break because it's 3 p.m. We still have half an hour more to go, but we'll come back. On the markets itself, not too much happening. Still up almost 0.5%. So the going has been quite good. We spoke with Bharat Iyer of JP Morgan earlier today to get some key takeaways from the JP Morgan conference that was held in New Delhi last week. He says that rural infra seems to be a key focus area for the government, and he expects gradual volume recovery in the second half of the fiscal.
What we are seeing is that a lot of building blocks have been put.
Welcome back. Well, the market is off the highs. It's been that kind of a day actually. It's been in the green, but it's not been able to take out Friday's high. So a bit of a consolidation within a range. Before we discuss the mid-cap mania, I just wanted some thoughts from Mr. Tulsian. Mr. Tulsian, on the UB stocks. Of course, United Breweries is something that we have seen the kind of move over the last 2 days. But Holdings and McDowell Holdings both logged on upper circuit today. What do you make of that?
Anuj, if you take a logical conclusion or logical reasoning, I don't see any logic in hitting both these stocks the upper circuit, because probably market is playing on this news that the shares pledged by both these companies are getting sold, and you are going to see the huge kind of capital gain coming in. But they forget that that entire sale proceed will be going for liquidation of the liabilities which they have given as a guarantee or having availed the loan for the Kingfisher or maybe for any other dues and all sort of things. So honestly, if you really ask me, I don't see any reason. But on the other hand, if you want to corroborate this news with the intention of Vijay Mallya returning back to India and settling the matter, in that case, this company is again coming back on its own legs, can just be a theory. So maybe on a rational and fundamental basis, I won't give any positive view on both the stocks hitting upper circuit or maybe showing a momentum merely on sale of this UB United Brewery shares.
Okay, well, this market has gotten very volatile. So suddenly in the last 5 minutes, there's been a turn for the worse. Stocks like Axis Bank, Maruti Suzuki have moved to the low point of trade. And as you can see, there's a bit of a nick that the Nifty has taken just in the last 5-10 minutes. Bajaj Auto, HDFC Bank, ITC are a couple of other stocks that are putting the market under pressure. But since it's Monday, to brighten up our Monday and take our blues away, it's time for our Monday special Mid-Cap Mania with Nigel D'Souza. And the stock on his radar is an auto ancillary stock whose key clients include M&M and Tata Motors. Nigel, take it away.
Well, Sonia, it's from the space that you track very closely, auto ancillary space. Rather small company, it's known as Sardha Motors, only 700 crores in terms of market capitalization. Now, it's been a big mover if you take a look at it from the lows earlier this year, but just in the last month or so, it's corrected closer on 20% from the top. The first quarter numbers look very good. That's something that impressed me. We had a top line growth of around 14%. The margins as well expanded by around 250 basis points, and profitability did balloon up because the operating profit was good and their finance costs as well have dipped by close to around 45% if you take a look at it on a year-on-year basis. So in the first quarter, they have achieved close to around 37% of what they did in the entire of last year in terms of an EPS. And you just try to, annualize that EPS. Let's get the EPS number really. up for you on the screen. You try to annualize that, it comes to roughly around 80 rupees per share. So it's not very cheap because it's trading at around 14 to around 15 times or thereabouts. What exactly is, so that's fairly important as well. That's the debt number that came up for you on the screen. In the last couple of years, the debt has reduced from around 180 crores all the way down to around 60 crores approximately. That's the EPS number really that we are talking about. In the first quarter, they've achieved close to around 37% of what they did in entire year. And the stock trades at around 15 times if you analyze that. Just taking a look at what exactly is their revenue breakup. Their main revenue comes in from suspension, silence, as well as exhaust pipes. That's a good 68%. And it's a group company of Bharat Seats. So there as well, the car seats frame contributes close to around 27% approximately. The clientele as well looks fairly good because a lot of big names are in there. We have the likes of Hyundai, Mahindra, as well as even Tata Motors is one of their clients. So that clientele looks quite good as well. They are exclusive suppliers for the Mahindra and Mahindra Scorpio as well as the Xylo. So that's fairly interesting. And if you take a look at it, even in terms of their independent front suspension over there as well, they are either preferred suppliers or in fact they're the only suppliers for some of these products. Their technical collaboration with a couple of big companies, that's international names, the Belgium-based company Bosal, over there they do have a JV that's taking place over there. And even Ricardo PLC, that's a UK-based company, they're going to be setting up an R&D facility in India in the next 5 years. This I've got it from the audit report itself. And also there's another Korean company, that's Sejong, over there as well. They do have a technical collaboration. So a lot of global names that they're looking at in terms of technical collaboration. Their dividend payout as well has been fairly good. So they've been paying close to around 20 to around 40% in terms of the dividend payout ratio. Interesting stock. Auto Ancillary had a good first quarter. Maybe one worry could be they're getting most of their revenues coming in from Tata Motors as well as Mahindra and Mahindra. So maybe, in fact, that's something that you should look at. But let's see how the rest of the year turns out. For the first quarter, it looked quite good.
Okay, Nigel, thanks a lot for that. Well, the stock of the moment now is Indiabulls Real Estate. Now, this one is really interesting because so many of these stocks, you have seen a similar pattern play out time and again, which is that these stocks see a lot of build-up, then enter the F&O ban period. Indiabulls Real Estate has just come out of the F&O ban period today, and you have seen the kind of build-up today. Chances are that by the end of the day, it will be in ban period again. So, phenomenal. Mr. Tulsian, your thoughts on the way Indiabulls Real Estate has moved today?
Anuj, you have touched a nice point of this frequent F&O ban entry exit, and in fact if you really see, either the stocks are seeing this ban to prevent the further erosion in the share, or it is seen to restrain the traders to enter into the stock. The case in point is Century Textile. You have seen the entry and exit and the kind of run up which we have seen. I think it must have gone over 200 rupees in this series itself, now ruling at 900 plus. So conversely, IB Real Estate, Indiabulls Real Estate is on the other hand. You see this stock moving up. You are right. Probably this evening we may see it coming in the F&O ban, which will again restrain the people. But again, when it starts moving up to a level, maybe 95, 96, difficult to predict. At that point of time, again, we will see profit booking coming in, and on the lower side, it will start performing. So I won't be, taking a call unless until you are convinced on the fundamental going up in the one way, which we have been seeing in case of Century Textile.
Okay, by the way, new highs on names like Biocon. So that stock is now at a fresh 52-week high, up about 1.5%, and it has hit a level of 932. So good going for Biocon. Dr. Lal PathLabs is at a fresh 52-week high today as well. Phenomenal move on that stock, up almost 60% this year. And you also have Apollo Tyres, which is at a fresh high today, 221 over there. By the way, an update on BF Utilities. Once again, no surprises there. The Supreme Court has postponed the case. Post the October 5th is when we'll get to know more. So BF Utilities, well, that's been a trader's delight as well, all over the place on the back of this Supreme Court hearing. But let's get some more guests in. By the way, the Sensex is threatening to dip into the red now. So once again, volatility has crept into the markets in the last 5-10 minutes, and it is a lot of heavyweight stocks like ITC, HDFC Bank that are exerting a bit of pressure.
Yeah, this will happen on inside days, which is a classical definition of a market which is narrowing, Sonia, which is that the low of Friday is easily protected, the high is already protected. So once you move towards the higher end, you see a bit of selling. When you move towards the lower end, you see a bit of buying. Essentially, the market is just buying time and doing nothing
ahead of the big event.
And the the one example of that is the way India VIX has rallied, for example, today. While the market has not done much, the India VIX is up 3.5%. Why is that happening? Because you are heading into a bit of a, again, as I said, a bit of a mini binary event. So you want to buy both the calls and the puts ahead of the event. At least that's what the retail would want to do. And that's where you've seen this bit of pickup in India VIX as well right now.
Okay, well, we also have Sudeep Bandopadhyay who joins in the last 15 minutes of trade. Hi, Sudeep. Afternoon. What are the themes that you're recommending investors to perhaps buy into now? And is this the time to buy, or do you think that, you know, amidst all this volatility, it's just better to keep your powder dry?
Well, I think, Sonia, there is always opportunity of buying. If you really look at Indian markets in a 2-year time frame, there are definitely opportunities. And I don't think any other asset class will give the kind of return which equity promises based on the sheer domestic factors. There are, of course, reasons for volatility which are predominantly driven by global factors. But domestic factors look good. And I think there are opportunities for individuals to buy. We continue to remain bullish on some of the interesting defense plays. I have been talking about Bharat Electronics. It's a great buy. It's the leading defense company in the country. It's a cash surplus PSU, zero debt, fantastic R&D facilities. 35% of the existing orders are with them. With the indigenization of defense manufacturing, they are going to be definitely one of the biggest beneficiaries. I think at current level, one can definitely buy a company like that. Consumer durable space is another area where I think there are still opportunities. While the valuations have hit quite high in case of some stock, but there are opportunities in similar companies where the valuations haven't peaked. We have been talking about Crompton Greaves, CNG consumer durables. It's a great company, a good business, definitely a good buy at current levels.
Okay, well, BTSC time now. Ashwini and Mitesh will tell us what stocks to buy or sell today for a reverse trade tomorrow. Ashwini, you go first.
Well, on BTST, Engineers India has restarted a rally, so that's a buy with a stop of 260, target of 274. Power Grid seems to have completed a correction, so that's a buy with a stop of 174, target of 187. And you would see that cement stocks are back again, India Cement, Ultratech, etc. So Ambuja Cement has completed a correction. That is a buy with a stop of 260, target of 278.
Okay, Mitesh?
I also have two buy calls. So first of them is Federal Bank with a stop at 72 rupees 70 paisa. Look for 75 half 76 for tomorrow. And BEL is a buy with a stop at 1223 for targets of around 1255 again for tomorrow.
Okay, well, there's some news on Glenmark. The company has announced a strategic development and global licensing agreement with Particle Sciences Inc., which is a Lubrizol company for a generic Abraxane. So Glenmark has obtained exclusive commercial marketing and distribution rights for this product. And Particle Sciences will receive milestone payments on various stages of the product development, including royalty on sales. So this is basically for an injectable suspension drug. And they haven't given any numbers, but I guess it's strategically a positive deal. For Abraxane, marketed globally, had reported sales of almost $970 million worldwide and about $650 million in the US. So strategically a positive for Glenmark, and that stock is up almost about 0.7%. But let's hop across to Nimesh now and find out what's happening this afternoon with the dealers. Trader Talk is here. Nimesh?
Hi Sonia. So quite day of trade, bit of consolidation which is happening with the positive bias, but I guess it's a wait and watch out of the two big events this week, the BOG meet and the Fed meet. So before that, I guess there is not much big commitment coming in, but still my sense is that in the cash market you'll see a decent buy figure from the FIs in the cash market. So there is some bit of nibbling happening in the large cap stocks by the FIs. That trend continues in today's trade as well, but clearly the BOG meet and the Fed meet will be critical to watch out for. The sense I'm getting is it doesn't look like both the events are going to be disruptive for the emerging markets, at least in the near term. And probably you'll see post the meeting the upward journey to continue. So that's the general bias towards emerging markets and India, at least at this point in time. But clearly it's a wait and watch for now. I guess the way there is a bit of momentum back in the mid cap and small cap, that's the space which is likely to bust for the next few days till the time we see what comes up in the BOG meet and the Fed meet. But Till then, it looks like it's a wait and watch, but with a positive bias, and it looks like the FIs continue to nibble in some of the select caps in the cash market.
Okay, Nimesh, thanks a lot for that. It clearly looks like there will be a large FI buy number today. I mean, if you look at the NSE cash market turnover and the kind of stocks, and looks like we could be in for a huge delivery-based number in Yes Bank. Could easily be 400 or 500 crores in Yes Bank. And if you pull out the intraday chart of this stock, it's interesting. Ashwini, chartically, Yes Bank, is it showing us any signs of bottom formation here?
See, Yes Bank has, kind of reached a place from where you should see, buying come back. Now, that's happened with IndusInd Bank, and possibly if Yes Bank can get past 1200, chances are that will also show that kind of move. But you want a big 2-3% style move on Yes Bank to say that yes, it's beginning to recover. On IndusInd, that's happened. I don't think on Yes Bank you can quite say that the correction is over.
Okay, Mr. Tulsian, one of your favorite stocks, was one of your favorite stocks. You recommended profit booking as well ahead of QIP. Good enough to dip in again, or some more correction?
No, I'll advise to dip in again at the current level, because actually that is what I have been doing for 1200. I have said that when it was ruling at 1400, that 1200 looks an ideal level, and now it is ruling closer to about 1175, 1180. Difficult to catch the right price, but I don't think that much some downside is seen here. And even if you take a technical view, the counter is looking underowned, if not oversold, but it is in fact looking oversold as well. So I won't be seeing further weakness from in the counter to be seen from here on. And even trader can take a call, but those who wants to go as an investor, I think this is the right time to make an entry.
Okay, well, the other stock that's really surging these days is Alkem Labs. We should pull up that stock. From the lows of 1190 in the month of May, Alkem Labs is now hitting 1700, and that's a fresh 52-week high that we're seeing on Alkem Labs. Just pull up a 6-month chart and you'll understand where I'm coming from. Mr. Tulsian, I remember this being one of your big bets, at the start of the year. And what a great run. In the last 6 months, it's given you about 30% returns. Is this a stock that one can still buy into if they've missed out on the rally?
Sonia, if you have a medium term view at least of 6 to 8 months, then this is definitely seen a good stock, because honestly, if you really ask me, I don't see any concerns or any apprehensions prevailing on this stock. This is seen a consistent kind of stock. You can place this stock also in the category of Aurobindo Pharma or maybe the Glenmark kind of things, where the things are looking quite linear in terms of the growth to be seen over medium term to long term.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's go across to Varinder as well. He'll point out some buzzing stocks. Varinder?
With some of the new names which are picking up today, look at innovative tech packs. Now there's huge volume today on this stock, and all these packaging, PET kind of companies are moving up today, and this is one new name which has come up. Other stocks like Godavari Drugs, Lotus Eye Care Hospital up 20%, Arnold Holding, Moody Naturals all moving up under the new name category. Some other small cap gainers, Sharp India up 20% after that open offer announcement. You have Petron Engineering, Kamdhenu Ispat, Sarda Plywood, Dharani Sugars, UB Holding, have come up from days high but still in the green. Atlas Jewelries, Murdeshwar Ceramics, Signet Industries, ITNL, Vikram Dharmo has been moving up since last few days, and some of these hero group companies like Munjal Auto, Munjal Shoya are all buzzing today. Taneja Aerospace, Virnichi Technologies, Hindustan Safety Glass, SMS Pharma, Aster Industries. In terms of mid-cap gainers, BF Utility in the green, but down nearly 5-6% from days high after the Supreme Court has again postponed that hearing which was supposed to happen today. Otherwise, you have Anu Limited, and as I said, all these plastic PET manufacturers today. Look at Polyplex, Uflex, Jindal Photo, all moving up today. Heritage Foods, Dalmia Bharat Sugar, Dinora India, and some of these chemical companies like Asahi Songwon, Akshar Chemical, Hikal, and also Dr. Lal Path that continues to surge.
Okay, Sudeep, thanks Varinder for that. Sudeep, any thoughts on either Dr. Lal or Alkem Labs, the way these stocks have moved even post the superb listing?
Well, I think both, Anuj, were good companies. The listing price was attractive. I'll talk about Dr. Path Lab. I think it's a great business, and they have been running it and they have been expanding it the right way. Of course, the recent spurt probably has unfortunately something to do with the breakout of chikungunya and other similar infectious disease in Delhi. And I think that's why the expectation is that this quarter is going to be great for Dr. Path Lab. Their concentration in Delhi and NCR is significant, and I think they will be the biggest beneficiary of this unfortunate event in Delhi.
Okay, yes, that's the key expectation, that they will have higher revenues in the next quarter. And I think a lot of that has already played out. But let's get some final calls in now. Ashwini, less than 10 minutes to go before the market closes for the day. 8800 has held, so that's a good sign. That's a positive sign. What would the trading strategy be for tomorrow?
See, again, very choppy, but several stocks are completing corrections. So stuff like IndusInd Bank, JSW Steel, all of these guys. Cement has come back late afternoon. So those sort of individual stocks can be done, but I think pretty similar. Maybe towards second half again you will start seeing some rally tomorrow, maybe even day after. So that way choppy sideways action. But individual stocks, Engineers India is a buy with a stop of 260, target of 274. Power Grid is a buy with a stop of 174, target of 187. And Ambuja Cement is a buy with a stop of 260, target of 278. Wait for the event. Even when the event is done, I think there will be several opportunities to get long on the market.
Mr. Tulsian, one of your favorite stocks, Triveni Engineering, is up 13% right now at 63. You'll recommend buying here as well?
Anuj, I've been keeping my neutral to, or I would say that neutral stance on all the UP-based sugar mills, but because of the global prices, and I won't go rationally for this theory that the Brazil, we are seeing the higher sugar prices hardening in the global market, because Indian mills are not able to see the higher realizations because of the government pressure or because of the government policies. But in Triveni Engineering specifically, the demerger news is playing out, and I think what I've learned is that the record date is going to get announced for that, or maybe the proceedings are happening on that front. So that could be the reason for such a big surge. But otherwise, if you really ask me, I am keeping my neutral stance on the sugar stocks for the time being.
Okay. Mr. Tulsian, I wanted to ask you about the ICICI Pru IPO. I mean, it seems like everyone's interested in this one, but the insurance sector in the past has not been a great wealth creator for investors. What would your advice be to retail investors for this one?
Sonia, I won't advise to retail investors to go for it, because if you really see, the issue is seen quite expensive. Because firstly, if you want to value any insurance, you have to see the market cap to embedded value. And if you go by the embedded market cap to embedded value, ICICI is being issued at a 3.1 to 3.4, because the price band is very high. I don't understand why the 11% price band has been kept between 300 to 334. So that is giving a market cap to embedded value between 3.1 to 3.4 against HDFC Max Life at 3.3 and SBI at 1.9. And if you go by the other parameters also, PE of 29, price to book of 8.4, and if you see the EPS or maybe the bottom line, that has been stagnant for last 4 years, for FY 13, 14, 15, 16, and if you take for the quarter 1 of FY 17, which has exactly posted 25% of the profits for whole of FY 16. And apart from that, what I don't like about the company is that the new business premium has a very lower margin as compared to HDFC and SBI, because if you see the protection business, that is 3% of the premium, less than 3% of the premium, against HDFC Life's 5 to 6%. So I think on all parameters, and even if you take a placement made by the company about 8-9 months back to Azim Premji, at that price the issue is now made at 40% higher the premium. Sometimes I don't understand that you are issuing to the high net worth or P investor at such a low valuation, and after 9 months in the primary market the issue is made at a 40% premium on the price at that placed at that point of time, when you should be more concerning. And if you take a call on between the HDFC and ICICI, looking to the assets under management of 1.09 lakh crore for ICICI and 1.01 lakh crore for HDFC, HDFC, HDFC always commands a better valuation. So as I said, that market cap to embedded value of HDFC 3.3 and 3.4 of this ICICI Pru at the upper end definitely doesn't convince me. So I find this issue to be too aggressive, and I won't advise subscribe to the issue to the retail investors.
Okay, Mr. Tulsian, let's just recap the day. It's an interesting day. I mean, in technical terms, what we have had today is inside day, which is Friday's low and high not being breached, and a doji as well, which is that the opening and closing is happening at same levels. Interesting, normally happens ahead of a big breakout or breakdown. So it will be interesting to see if the market is betting on a breakout again, because that's been the anecdotal evidence. But let's recap the stocks that moved in trade today. First, let's talk about the winners, because it was a green day after all. Batting for bulls today, TCS, ICICI Bank, and all the cement stocks. So Ultratech, ACC, Ambuja. Then of course, couple of banks like IndusInd Bank also did well. Aurobindo Pharma was one of your top gainers, up 2.5%. Then you had couple of stocks like ONGC, Coal India and Tata Motors. All of these were 1%ers. You could add Zee Entertainment as well to that list, up 1%. What capped markets gains? Auto stocks. Maruti was down 1.5%, Bajaj was down 1.5%, and Hero as well was down about 1%. Common theme, all of these stocks were trading at or close to life highs, so some profit taking in all these names. Axis Bank, HDFC Bank are also interesting losers in trade today. Curiously, Tata Motors was up, but the DVR was down about 1/3 of 1%, and HDFC was down 1/4 of 1%. So that's the large cap action. But as you would expect on a day like today, it was all about mid caps and non-index large caps.
Oh yes, it was. And the space to be in today really was the sugar space. So all your sugar stocks, Triveni Engineering, Sri Renuka, Balrampur Chini, all up about 3 to 4 odd %. Real estate did well, some pockets at least. India Bulls Real Estate was up 6.5%. Ashok Leyland bounced back. So the return of the laggards, it seems. Ashok Leyland up 4.5%. Tire stocks was the space to be in late trade. Apollo Tyres, JK Tyres, a lot of them hitting new highs. Apollo Tyres at a fresh 52-week high today, so looking very good there. And you had a couple of other stocks like Syntex, DLF that did pretty well today too. On the downside, HDIL continues to fall further after its weak earnings, so that stock down about 2%. Welspun India down about 3.5 odd %. So it hasn't really recovered much after that issue with Target. And you had a couple of others like Suzlon and South Indian Bank that were just a tad bit under pressure. But we come to the end of what has been a choppy day of trade, but largely you'd have to say a day of consolidation with an upward bias. 8800 on the Nifty has held, and the Sensex is up about 35 odd points. So nothing sort of a day, just chopping around in a tight range. But let's get some final comments in. Mitesh, what is the strategy that you would adopt for trade tomorrow?
So I think, it's a very fragmented market in the sense that you can possibly identify sectors very clearly which are enjoying momentum. And I think off late it's been tire stocks, couple of technology names which are reversing from the oversold levels, and sundry FMCG names. So I think that's where we'll focus upon. I still haven't been taking an index trade purely because of the fact that it's very choppy, but yet in a contracting mode. So very difficult to trade with edges. So I think for the time being, I think unless until we see Nifty getting past 8850 or 8690, I think not much on the index. We'll try to buy more at the lower end of the range. That's the strategy which will adopt. But the sectors, as I mentioned earlier, I think it will be some of the banking names, the tire names, etc.
Okay, Ashwini, what's your sense looking at today's market opening and closing and the day spent in a narrow band, but with mid-cap outperformance? Do you see the anecdotal evidence playing out yet again, and this being a precursor to a big move on the upside?
See, like I said in the morning, that we are not giving back a whole lot. So once this uncertainty is out, I think we should go about our own business, which is to go up, because it's not like liquidity tap is totally turning off and it's getting priced in. Whether or not the rate hike happens, I think it is pretty much known that at some point it will happen. If not this time, maybe next time. So it's not like a binary event like the Brexit where you didn't know what will happen. So that way, all this is priced in, and once the uncertainty is out of the way, chances are you should again move towards fresh highs. Mid caps, etc., they don't get bothered by these money flows, so that upside will continue.
Okay, Mayuresh, before we end, a lot of these pharma-oriented stocks have done really well. So Biocon, Dr. Lal Path Labs, Alchem, all hitting new highs today. What would be your top pick from that space?
Well, largely, Sonia, as I discussed, I think Aurobindo remains one of my preferred picks from within the sector. But even within the diagnostic space, I think there is huge potential over the next few years, even in terms of the core asset size itself going up significantly. Secondly, I think if you look at the spread specifically for these diagnostic chains, I think it is second best to the hospital chains and standalone centers, probably at the number 2 position. So I think these chains probably in a much better position over the next 2 years to probably run over the business of these standalone centers. Third, in terms of the core business activity for individual companies within this sector, have been growing decently at a very fast clip. So my own sense is diagnostics as a business is expected to do well. I remain extremely positive and optimistic about the sector. But generally for the larger pharma universe, I think Cipla or Aurobindo Pharma is something that I'll still suggest long-term investors to hold on.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for joining us. It's been a slightly sleepy day of trade, but then again, everyone's in wait and watch mode ahead of that crucial Fed and Bank of Japan policy later this week. Let's slip into a short break. On the other side of the break, we will get you the biggest global voices on their expectations from the Fed and the BOJ later this week.